short. The odds makers are predicting he will be more than 100 yards shy of setting the single-season passing yard record. His previous high for passing yards total this season as a prop was 307.5 versus Cincinnati. Now, here's the question.
Man, 430 is a lot.
It's a lot, man. It's too much. That. But
have you seen the Raiders secondary?
Even if he gets it,
a lot, though.
Even if he gets it, does it count as the record? Now, let me just give you my opinion on this.
Because wait, hold on, sir.
Yeah.
Mike, because you're not going to keep him in the game to chase the record.
Right, because you got too much real stuff on the line. Yeah. But let's say even he got it. Somehow he wound up with 431 passing yards, Key. He had an extra game to set the record. So the fact of the matter is he did have the most passing yards in a season. But without that extra game, because it's now 17 regular season games instead of 16, he wouldn't have done it.
Yeah, but it's still the record. Somebody else can break it the next year.
Right.
It's a different time.
You're right. I think it's two different records, in fact.
So does whoever had it 16, when it was 8, and when it was 10, it was 12?
14,
whatever, 14?
Yeah, I agree, Key. No, right, 12. I agree. It is the record because that's the bottom line is the most passing yards. But I do think the way I look at it in sports is they're all different records, right? Like even remember when Aaron Judge was hitting all the home runs, I wanted to see if he could hit his 61st in 154 games because he couldn't because Babe Ruth hit 60 in 154. I wanted to see him get it in that time,
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. I mean, it changes. It's just different errors, different everything. You look up in Patrick Mahomes is doing it in 17. Eventually, what if they grow the schedule to 18 games or 19 games?
Yep, there'll be new records. Yeah,
there'll be new records.
That stuff doesn't bother me.
No, not at all.
It feels like more like traditionalists, like, it's this record. I'm like, it's whatever. It's the record now.
Yeah, but somebody did it in a shorter span than the last person probably too, though. Yeah. You just got to go back and look.
Yeah, right. And I think of them all as their own records, right? Like because part of the issue with the counting stuff is, like LeBron's going to break Kareem's scoring record, right? But was LeBron the scorer Kareem was? No, not in any given season. Not really. Kareem was a more fearsome scoring weapon in his day than LeBron is in his. But
really, I think that's hard to measure.
Well, Kareem was the leading scorer. Kareem was an
I get it, but I also see who Kareem
scorer.
was like. Yeah, I hear you. I think the caliber of athlete and.
Okay, but LeBron, you could argue LeBron's a better player if you want to, right? And I think most people know.
But I'm just not diminishing LeBron's ability.
No, it's not about diminishing. The point of records,
you naturally have to diminish somebody if you're trying to say one person's better.
The point of records, it's not diminishing. It's just adding to the other. The point of records is you're creating a hierarchy.
Yeah.
And part of the counting type of records, not the rate type of records, right? Like in baseball, be batting average versus hits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that availability is factored in.
Yeah, but I want the guy with the
counts.
hits. I don't care about the batting average.
What's that?
I want the guy with the hits.
Well, because he's available. Because he's
the batting average don't mean anything to me because if you miss 50 games, your average can still be high.
Well, that's true, but the value per game is also significant, right? It's not just, in other words, one measures how much you contributed overall, and the other measures how much you contributed when you were available.
Yeah, but I don't need when you are available. I need your ass to be available.
But if you could, there are some people who are more available than others, but exactly not as good. I can show you examples.
You can't help me, Max, if you're never here.
No, but not if you're never. What if you're usually there, but not all the time? Versus a guy who's always there.
I don't need usual. No. I need you here, with me.
Okay,
LeBron James, Anthony Davis.
LeBron James, misses usually about 10 games a year, something like that, right? Something like that on average.
But he's like an Iron
5
Man,
to 10.
That dude is different.
Okay, but I can show you.
He's only been missing 5 to 10 games recently, Max.
No, in his career, he didn't used to usually have 82 games a year or 80 games a year.
But he would play the majority of the time.
That's what I'm saying. So it doesn't have to be you never play or you always play. There are scenarios.
His never plays wasn't serious injuries up until recently.
What I'm saying is there are Iron Men who play more games than LeBron, but weren't near. You'd rather have LeBron, right? Because his per game value is much higher. That's what I'm saying. So when you look at records like scoring,
Iron Man.
All right, now I was going to try to make the point. You guys refused to let me make.
Don't say you guys haven't said anything. That's key.
both of
He
you.
has
Don't
a point,
blame
though,
me,
too.
Jay.
Is here with Keyshawn J. Willimax on ESPN Radio. He is an ESPN NFL analyst and a two-time Super Bowl champion because no one who played for the Patriots has a decency just to have one Super Bowl ring. Everyone's got to have at least two.
Try.
What are your expectations for Cowboys and Niners?
This could be a good game. It's going to be one of them hard-fought games. And I like defensive battles because you think about the 49ers. We know about their defense. But, the Dallas Cowboys, because towards the middle parts of the season, they started slipping up. In the beginning of the season, that's all we were talking about was the Cowboys' defense. Oh, look at this defense. They're fast. They're getting after quarterbacks. Then they started letting up some yardage on the ground. And I still think that this game is going to come down to who can create the turnover, who can create that defensive turnover that could potentially win you the football game. And I love when you have the number one defense in the NFL, especially in the playoffs, going against the Cowboys. And just it's a great playoff environment, especially with the history there. The Cowboys should wear the throwbacks with the stars on the shoulders. Now that would be something.
Yeah.
Nick, you played defense and you won Super Bowls and everything, and I won a Super Bowl, but I played with one of the best defenses in NFL history. Mm-hmm. And I knew what they were all about. No matter, you could have brought Tom Brady and the New England Patriots in there. You could have brought the greatest show on turf in there. I know exactly what they was getting ready to do to them. No matter if it was a high-octane offense or a bad offense, everything was going to be the same. You weren't going to score points and it was going to hit you in the mouth. So when I look at the San Francisco 49ers defense, outside of Kansas City, I think it was week 8 or 9, they haven't really been tested. Does that play in any part of your thinking on the defensive side of the ball when you were playing like we really haven't been tested, now we got a test on our hands?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you can't help who's on the schedule. You just play who's on the list. So when you go through your schedule, if you happen to be number one, you're number one. But in the playoffs, everything steps up a little bit. And, there's definitely a difference between playing a mediocre offense and playing a playoff offense, especially when everything steps up. So, again, you think back to the Patriots. I mean, there were moments when the Patriots – they had the boogeymen, and I wasn't with the team anymore at the time, but they had a really good defense. They were one of the top defenses, and it didn't matter in the playoffs because they played a good team and they got beat badly. So it's literally all how you play in the playoffs, and if you can put together a good game plan to where you stay under control, you don't lose your mind with blown calls, missed assignments, coverages that you mess up. That's when you can kind of go on a nice little run here, because at the end of the day, you could be a mediocre defense and you get in the playoffs and you play lights out. It's all about preparing for that one game, and we've seen it. Your Giants beat me in the Super Bowl. Nobody really thought they were going to come into the playoffs and make noise, and they ended up beating teams coming into the Super Bowl and beating the Patriots. It's all about how you play in the playoffs.
Let's stay right there. My favorite memory. Let's stay right there because
2 times.
Because this is like, even if you have a great career, you might play in 10 playoff games, right? That's a lot. Not a lot of guys playing 10 playoff games.
Yeah.
Every one of those is 10% of what we know about you in terms of what we really care about, right? So Eli Manning wrote his legacy right there. Went on the road, beat Aaron Rodgers, and then beat Brett Favre on the road in different seasons at Lambeau, beat Tom Brady twice in the Super Bowl, went to Dallas, beat Tony Romo. So, that's Eli Manning. These guys are writing their scripts right now. We're in Act 1 of a lot of these guys' careers.
Yep.
How significant is this for Dak, for Josh Allen, for Joe Burrow? Patrick Mahomes already he's got the.
He's going to have to play better than he did against Miami. Can't turn the ball over. Can't fumble. Can't literally give the other team points. So I think there's a lot of pressure on Josh Allen. You look at the rest of them. Mahomes, okay, he's already been there. He's done that. Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl last year. I mean, when's this? You said Cincinnati Bengals in the Super Bowl. People would have been like, what? 3-5 years ago? No way.
But Nick, even for those guys, the reason even for Mahomes, if Mahomes beats Trevor Lawrence, and he's supposed to, but if he doesn't, that's not good. But if he does, 5 years as a starter, 5 championship game appearances. And if Burrow gets stopped here, okay, well, he got to the Super Bowl, but he lost, and then he won a playoff. But if he gets back to the AFC Championship game in year 2 as a starter, right? It's big for everyone's legacy.
Bill would always talk about how playoff experience doesn't matter. and it's all about how you play, because there's been certain situations where somebody has their first opportunity and they ball out. And I think back to when
Absolutely.
I played my last game against the Falcons, and before that game, it was Trey Flowers. It was one of our defensive ends, a young kid at the time. I mean, this is a while ago now. And I remember just being like, hey, man, big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. And he went out and had 2 sacks, like had a great game. And that's literally like, it doesn't matter your experience.
What Daboll said the other day. He's like, I think playoff experience is overrated compared to preparation and execution.
And you can go out there and if you don't let the moment get to you, because I mean, I think I played in like 17 playoff games. And
jeez.
Yeah.
How many you play again?
Play a lot.
Not 17.
I started
damn
16.
sure.
I played in 17 playoff games.
So just in playoff for money alone.
Yeah.
He didn't even need to play regular season. The playoff money alone for him. He was on New England. Those dudes got rich just in the playoffs.
That's why he only gets to work half a week now. All those playoff games.
Well,
but he's right, though. You got to think about it. With my first playoff game I ever played in, divisional round against Jacksonville. I mean, we had it.